Good afternoon, everyone at Phoenix Sister Cities. My name is Christian Askin, and this video is a briefing on my time as an economic ambassador serving in Grenoble, France. So I'm just going to get started. Hopefully you guys all know the origins of the program, but really the mission of the program was to convince competitive French and Arizona-based companies interested in US and European markets to choose Phoenix and the Grenoble regions as their expansion destination. And the vision is really to create this symbiotic economic relationship between the sister cities, Phoenix and Grenoble, in order to better promote the two regions and economic environments for foreign business investments. And so I served for 2 months from May 20th to July 20th, where I worked in AEPI, which is a nonprofit economic development agency in Grenoble, where I served. I worked daily in the office and did various tasks for the group themselves, as well as to promote the mission and vision of Phoenix Sister Cities. How I got engaged into the Grenoble economic ecosystem was really through three main things, which were conferences, events, and economic development delegations, with few contacts other than the economic delegation that came to Phoenix earlier this year. It was really important to attend these events in order to get contacts, meet companies, and develop these leads. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the conferences attended, which were brought to my attention by Véronique Péquignat, which was my direct supervisor while serving in Grenoble. First was the Forum 5i, or 5i conference, which featured Grenoble's innovative startups and different companies that were really coming up in the Grenoble environment. IoT Gem focused on future technologies and the Internet of Things. InnoSport, which was an event dedicated to sports innovation. And finally, Rencontre de Tourisme d'Affaires, which was highlighting local companies based in the Grenoble area and really focused on promoting Grenoble and Rhône-Isère companies. Some of the events that I attended were the Hydrogen Fleet unveiling, where Giant Technologies and Innovation Campus unleashed a whole fleet of hydrogen vehicles that were introduced into the community, into the La Poste, or their postal agency, and different businesses. And it was a really important event. All the major players of the industry were in attendance that day. The French-American Workshop, which was a Giant-sponsored research exposition of students from around the world, highlighting or promoting their research findings and how they can bring them to the market. Minologic's 10th birthday. Minologic is another research facility focused on bringing products to market. And in this event, they celebrated their 10 years of success in technology innovation and featured exposition on their current projects that they're working on and bringing to the market. And so I got to meet companies at that conference and speak with them about their interest in Phoenix. Another event that was less formal, but all the important nonetheless, was meeting the Sister Cities youth ambassadors at the American Corner, featured in Grenoble. And so I got to meet with the vice mayor of Grenoble as well as the youth ambassadors to talk about the program, the details of the exchange, and how it's important, not just as a cultural experience, which of course it is, but as a greater experience of connecting the two cities and representing the United States as young youth ambassadors. And finally, the Soirée Ambassadeur Isère at Caterpillar. So essentially this was an event hosted by AEPI at Caterpillar, a well-known American company. And companies got to come and see how Caterpillar's operations worked, how their manufacturing worked, and just talk about what it's like to be an American company in France, which were all very informative, and got to meet lots of key players from the industry. And finally, there were 3 economic development delegations that I got to attend. First was the American Corner Austin delegation, which was a group from Austin, Texas, coming to view the best practices on education. And despite it being not in the same industry, in that it was academically focused and rather than economically focused. It was still really interesting to see how these delegations worked, what was highlighted and featured, and the conversations that arose between the two delegations. Next, I went to Lyon to attend the Philadelphia Attraction Conference, which was essentially the whole state of Philadelphia coming together to pitch the economic environment to French companies based in Lyon and investors in Lyon to expand to Philadelphia, which was extremely interesting as far as economic attraction and recruitment is concerned, and all the things they highlighted and featured, and what really resonated with the French companies as when they were speaking. And finally, the Louisiana Economic Development Delegation, where we had meetings at Minitech to learn about the research environment there and to see how the University of Louisiana State University, was trying to see how they could develop a partnership in research through exchange and through mutual symbiotic economic development, bringing prospects of companies, and there was high-level city officials as well as professors at the Louisiana State University. Through my time, I developed many contacts that could help further the relationship and continue promoting the economic development aspects of both Phoenix and Grenoble. One is Eric Ricora, who was here earlier in the year, who manages Grenoble's international actions from exchange to business development, and he would really be a first step in kind of getting in touch with the local ecosystem and getting a sense of the macro environment in Grenoble. Next is Catherine Andre, who works at the Grenoble Chamber of Commerce as the Conseil en Développement International. And what she does is she works with Grenoble or French-based companies who are interested in expanding into the U.S. markets, and she advises them and gives them statistics and information. And she's also a very good resource to find companies who are interested in expansion so that we can promote our services to them and talk about all the benefits and opportunities in Phoenix. Next was Kate Margit. She's the Mission and Innovation Director at Le Métro, which is a city or a regional agency. She organizes a lot of those events and conferences that I spoke about earlier, from expositions to innovation opportunities, like Forum 5i. That was her primary or her capstone conference for the year. And so she is really successful in lead generation as far as attending the conferences, getting the pass to attend, and then introducing me or future economic ambassadors to the companies themselves, and creating this sense of relevance and the sense of authority. And finally, Sharon Rubhinder. She was also part of the economic delegation earlier this year, and she's the director of North America for AEPI. And so she's a resource to connect the French companies too who are looking to expand, as well as Arizona companies who are looking to expand here. And just the wealth of knowledge that she has as far as an economic attraction, if any ambassador has any questions or concerns or wants some input on how they're doing or what their job is, she would be a great resource to contact. Next contact was Constance Moot, International Development Manager at Minilogic. Again, he works with all the research-based companies who are developing innovations and creating these serious enterprises. Michelle DeFlash, the International Development Manager at Tenerdis. She aids Tenerdis, and Tenerdis is another research institution, and Tenerdis member companies to go international, and organizes outreach missions and international programs, including European programs, which are very popular in the European zone right now. And finally, Jean-Charles Gubert, head of the Minitech campus over at Minitech, another research institution. As you can see, research is very prominent in the Grenoble area, and there's lots of development happening and companies being created through these research institutions, and he's a key player in the industry and the environment there. Finally, through the different conferences and events that we attended, we developed several company leads, 3 to be exact, that expressed extreme interest in expanding to Phoenix. First was Hydral, which creates or develops a product that measures water usage through LED lighting and tells the consumer through easy-to-use technology basically when they're using the amount of water they choose. And so our contact there is Gabriel de la Monica, the CEO of Hydral. And one thing that resonated with him the most is the sense of community that Phoenix could bring rather than moving to a place like Silicon Valley or Los Angeles or a big city like that. And so we have his contact information, and although he doesn't plan on expanding until the next year, once he has proof of concept and more sales, definitely expressed extreme interest in expanding to Phoenix. Next was Sylphin Technologies, and our contact there is Nicholas Barty, and he's also the CEO, and he's developing a renewable energy storage system and hydrogen energy converter, looking to bring assembly, manufacturing, and distribution to the U.S. market. And although this is a long-term project as well, he's a great contact and personally vouched for by Véronique as a great entrepreneur and a serious opportunity for us. And he also expressed great interest in Phoenix, especially considering the work that ASU Biodesign is doing in algae energy production, as well as the great renewable energy ecosystem here in solar energy and things of that sort. Finally is Terradona, and our contact there is Daniela Pineda, and she's a communications director over at Terradona. And what Terradona is an integrated waste management technology that engages users to recycle and basically throw away waste properly. They're looking for a partner city to begin assembly, and where they're looking to expand their IT section and distribution as their long-term goal in the United States. And so really they're looking to work with waste management of a certain city in order to implement their technology into public waste bins. And again, they were extremely interested in the idea of Phoenix because their long-term plan is to expand into Mexico. So the relationship that Phoenix has with Mexico and the free trade agreement resonated strongly with them, as well as the sense of community and the green initiatives that Phoenix is continuing to promote. Excuse me. So some next steps for the program as far as where we see it going. Continuously following up with the expansion leads. And I have sent these leads to the director of the program, Claude Bobin. And then following up with inward investment leads as well into Grenoble, because it's really important to create this mutually beneficial relationship so that agency like AEPI and the city of Grenoble sees the value in Phoenix and really feels like it's a partnership and that we're working together to create something. We need to encourage the contacts that we developed to spread the word about Phoenix, because really that was one of the greatest challenges over there is talking about Phoenix and becoming relevant, putting us on the map. Finding a French economic ambassador to serve Phoenix would be another great part of creating the symbiosis between the two cities. And finally promoting the program in the media so that we can recruit an economic ambassador that can really do a great job following up with all of this. So finally, some recommendations. One thing would have been great to have well brought is some French marketing materials, some materials about Phoenix that are translated into French, because not everyone was fluent in English, and it would also be a sign of respect that we're in France and to bring the marketing materials translated into their native language. Creating a travel budget for meetings. I had meetings in Aix-en-Provence and Lyon, and these meetings were personally funded. So for economic ambassador without the means to do the travel, that would be a great tool to really expand the reach. a customer relationship management system in order to keep track of the leads, in order to keep Phoenix and GPEC in the loop with all the leads that are being developed. And then more direction. I know it was the first year, but maybe a written description of the position, the mission and vision, which was what I developed and what I imagined through my meetings and talks with the city and through GPEC is the mission and vision, but a written description and really narrowing down what it is exactly on a day-to-day, the expectations are of the economic ambassador. Connecting leads in Phoenix, maybe having one person to connect the leads to. In this case, I sent the leads to everyone at all times, and perhaps it's not the most efficient way. Maybe there needs to be one person who's responsible for following up with the leads and the contacts. And also someone who can answer questions as the program develops, and for the ambassador, if they have any questions. For example, I had lots of questions on waste management for my meeting with Terradona. One person who can either direct the economic ambassador to the resources they need, or who can actually take responsibility of figuring out and answering the questions that may arise as company meetings start to come about. And finally, giving a sense of what the ideal organizations are. And although I did get debriefed on the major industries in Phoenix, it'd be nice to have a sense of not just targeting every company and being able to focus on, is it small to medium-sized enterprises? Is it large companies? Is it startups where we can get in touch with CEOs rather than perhaps get a meeting with a lower level employee? What industry are we looking at? What kind of expansion? Are we looking at distribution or research and development? Things like that to give an overall sense of direction and guide on what is expected of the economic ambassador and what kind of companies are ideal for the Phoenix environment. So that's really all I have to say. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I hope this makes its way to all of you in good form. And finally, I'd like to say thank you, everyone, Paula West, Rick Gerard, Hank Marshall, Claude Bobin, and Bethany Bennick. Thank you all so much for all the opportunity that you've given me and the responsibility that you entrusted in me. And as the first economic ambassador, there were definitely some speed bumps and a lot to learn along the way. But I really hope that this was the beginning of something really great between the two sister cities. And again, I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And as I continue and develop my career now, this will forever be something that's really important to my professional development and an overall great experience. So thank you very much. Enjoy your retreat and have a great day. Bye.